Welcome, welcome. Send Me a Pro is like Uber for in-home services, connecting through an app with fitness and sports trainers, pet care providers, tutors, music instructors, and much, much more.
Welcome to the Own a Business Today podcast.
A lot of home service businesses, landscape, painting companies, and so forth. Today, we're lucky to have the co-founder and CEO of the company, Send Me a Pro, on our podcast to dive into what the franchise model is and why it might be a good fit for you, whoever's watching this in the future. And, after reviewing the notes, there's a lot of pros. Like, it's a scalable and flexible business model. It offers multiple services under one franchise, which could de-risk the investment, right? Proprietary technology and mobile app. Boom in home services, as everyone's aware, right? When everybody's working at a home, the plumbing goes out, the landscaping, everything. And there's no physical location required with this franchise concept. So, we're going to dive into a lot today. Very welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks, Bill.
So basically, the idea came to you, I think, in like 2012. You worked as a physical trainer, personal trainer, and you found kind of a void in like personal training. And originally, you had created an app for personal trainers, right? If I'm correct. And then, if you could just give us kind of the recap of how you came about, like from Send Me a Trainer to Send Me a Pro, and how that evolved, and then kind of dive in just a little bit deeper, like what the concept can do, and all the ins and outs about the brand.
Yeah, for sure. So we actually started the original business back in 2007. And it was a concierge service for personal trainers and fitness and sports pros. So trainers, tutors, tennis coaches, yoga instructors, you name it. And we ran that business for about a decade without any technology, just more traditional operations. And we learned a lot. And we learned that, number one, our clients really liked the concierge touch to it, where if every time they would want a tennis coach or a trainer or a yoga instructor or something from the members of the family, we would match them with the right pro and the right trainer. And as we ran that business over a decade, we learned that the customer, once you get the customer to like and trust you for like one service, they naturally start to ask us for more services. So we had our clients ask us, hey, do you know a tutor? Do you know a handyman? Do you know a plumber? Just because we had a great customer service with that homeowner. And then when we thought about now it's time to scale, we wanted to build technology. And when we wanted to build our technology, we knew the end game was beyond just the personal training and the fitness. The real business model was connectivity and connecting our clients of local providers. And that's kind of what we took a lot of pride in. So we launched our first franchise concept in 2020, which was the Send Me a Trainer business model. And we also built our proprietary technology in the understanding of where we were going to be going in the future, which is beyond just the fitness side. We started off with the fitness side because that's what we knew. We knew the fitness side. So we launched in 2020, Send Me a Trainer. We had explosive growth. However, the majority of people who purchased Send Me a Trainer some of them could care less about the fitness side. They were just so excited about where we were going as a business of really having multiple different services. That got a lot of people excited. That was really what led the growth behind Send Me a Trainer. And then just about maybe 6 months ago or so, we now launched and expanded into Send Me a Pro, where now franchisees can offer multiple different services under one platform, under one franchise. So rather than buying, you're really getting a portfolio of proven franchise concepts under one brand. And that's why we're disrupting the franchising sector as a whole.
This is interesting. So let's just kind of break it down. So if I was a candidate right now and trying to learn the brand, so in my mind right now, there's like a technology play. There's the app where people the customers in your region, wherever your territory is, they would you would do branding, and there's digital marketing. So people start seeing, send me a pro in their local area. At the same time, there's vendors that we meet, right? There's the lawn care people, there's the tutors. So just walk me through the process like you're explaining it to me, because I want to buy the franchise, because I think that will help the viewer, because the people watching this are entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking for business models that are scalable, that, are preferably no brick and mortar location and reoccurring revenue.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the main role of the franchise owner is really two things. In the beginning is to really focus on putting together a team of local pros. And now we assist you on how to create your team, how to onboard, how to run background checks, how to vet them, what type of questions, who's a good fit and who's not a good fit for our particular platform. So in the beginning, the franchise owner is really putting together a team of local pros. And then first, you're really picking the different categories you want to now launch with, right? And we typically recommend to launch with about 5 services in that specific location. That could be personal training, tutoring, music, house cleaning, lawn care, maybe even handyman. So once you select the services that you want to launch with, then you onboard those particular pros. And then once you launch those pros, then now the technology really automates and does the facilitate between connecting the client and the homeowner, and booking and the payment processing. All of that has been automated through our proprietary technology. So, and we really tell our franchisees to own that relationship with the homeowner. So once they like and book you for one service, we call them and say, "Hey, Bo, how was the house clean today?" "Oh, okay, great. Let me know what would you like to see, if anything, any improvements." "Oh, by the way, we also have handyman. We also do pool cleaning. We do gutters, whatever, and just create that awareness that we can continue to service the homeowner. So we're really strong on great customer service and owning that relationship with the homeowner, and really giving the homeowner a easy booking process. So no more wasting time on all those other websites, haggling and price shopping and getting quotes and going back and forth. Here we have very transparent pricing, simple booking, and access to local top pros, and all facilitated through an app and also a concierge touch, which is ran locally by the local franchise owner.
Okay, so I'm a new franchisee. I onboard, 5 vendors. One is less hypothetically is a handyman service. Somebody goes to the app, a customer goes to the app and says, I need some locks replaced on my front door and a couple of things in the house. How does the quote process work? How is the lead coming through the app getting filtered right to the handyman company to actually bid and quote? How does that all work?
So it varies on different services, things we're a solid pricing, for example, house cleaning. We have a calculator that the customer can now say how many bedrooms do they have, how many square feet is their home, right? How often would they like to clean? And they can now just answer a few questions and then get an instant price on what that will be, that service, right? For other services, let's say a handyman, we have systems where the customer can send some photos and we can give them a price that way as well. But also we could say, we tell the homeowner, this may vary just in case if they underestimated of what the project actually may entail as well. But for other services tutoring or music lessons, that's very straightforward. There's a solid rate on different packages that someone could purchase on how many, if you want 10 sessions, 50, whatever it may be, different type of packages the consumer could purchase. Then you download the app, you pick your service. I pick, let's say, tutoring, and then I could buy the sessions, I could buy the packages, I could make the payment, and I could keep track of all the sessions on the app as well. And every time, let's say every time a tutor finishes tutoring me, then I approve that session on the app, which now pays the tutor their portion of what they're getting, like an Uber driver as well. So the automation that we've created from now purchasing to actually paying out the provider has all been 100% automated and very streamlined as well.
Corporate kind of technology does all the billing and accounting and the rev share.
Yeah, picking the right vendors, that's very straightforward. We know how to find them and onboard them, and making sure it's a good fit. We have very specific questions that we ask, and based on how they respond to those questions, we know if it's going to be a good fit or not, right? So then we want to make sure they fit the glove, they fit the right persona that we're going after of who we like to work with. And what vendors like about what we do versus their alternative, like other platforms, we give our providers exclusivity where it's not so competitive like other platforms. So if like for our house cleaning, we partner up with one small house cleaning business or two to be our fulfillment partner, versus that vendor being on another platform where they're buying leads on other platform, and they're competing with another 100 different house cleaners who are all chasing and buying leads from the same platform. So providers like the exclusivity, right, of, hey, we work with a limited pro and we're very selective on who we choose to work with, but they value that because they're going to get now not a lead, they're getting an actual client to ready to go serve.
So we select a vendor, and now they're using the app. They've got hired to clean twice a month, and they go out the first time, and then the owner of they would approve basically that the cleaning was done. Then that cleaning company would get paid via ACH or the check or whatever, however the process works. What kind of like diligence, or is there customer surveys to make sure that cleaner's doing a great job? Like, because they're not technically, part of my franchise, but they're a third party. What kind of accountability measures have you implemented? And I mean, obviously that's an ongoing thing that you're always going to perfect because there's no perfect science, but how would that be handled?
So all of our providers have to maintain. So we built our app has a Yelp experience part of it, right? Where there's a lot of reviews. And after every booking is complete, it forces the customer to leave a quick review on that particular service. So we're constantly collecting data for that particular provider, for that provider's profile. And the providers, they have to maintain 4 out of 5 stars to maintain their profile on our platform. So if they fall below 4 stars on our platform, then we tell the providers probably not a good fit. The other thing that we also do for our providers is we monitor their retention rate, their renewal. So if I give you 10 clients, what percent of those 10 clients actually renewed again, booked again? And providers have to maintain 75% retention to keep their profile on the platform as well. And that's where if you fall below 75% renewal retention score, then we know 2 things. Then maybe you're not the best provider and you probably shouldn't be on the platform anyway. Or maybe you're doing a side deal and now trying to cut us out, right? And then do a deal directly with the consumer, which in that case, your retention score is going to now go low. And then that's where we tell our providers, we monitor you based on your retention. If I give you 10 clients, what percent of them actually renew and continue to rebook? And again, the problem that we're solving for these providers is they're good at what they do, but they're not the best at the sales and marketing. So they're really going after that long-term consistent dollar of having regular clients coming in on their schedule long-term. And they value that.
Finding these vendors obviously there's a lot of help from corporate office and how to do the systems processes. How is the split with the vendor determined? Is it based on if it's a landscape versus a reoccurring? How does that all get figured out?
Yeah. So that's negotiated with the local provider. Typically the range And it varies on the different type of service, but the blended margin across can go from, providers can get paid between, let's say, house cleaning. House cleaning, typically our cut is 30% from a small business, right? And then we'll take the 30%. It can go from 20 to 30% in that range. Services like personal training, then we typically pay the trainer about 40 to 60% of whatever you charge the client. So it also varies, but blended, you're looking at, we pay our providers between 40 to 60% of whatever we charge the client. And we also make sure we have the fair rates as well. So we're not now charging the client higher. We're still in line with what the market rate is transacting at for that particular service, and still have enough rooms for the actual service provider, and then also enough margin for the franchisee to now still have a very healthy profit margin
So,
as well.
As a franchisee, like basically, once we have the vendors, the initial group, you're always going to be adding vendors, but you're going to start with a select, 4, 5, 6 vendors. Now, we're opening up shop. We get our business license, where we have to do in our local area. Now we do a marketing campaign, because obviously we got to get brand awareness in our local market, because it's not there yet. So we're going to there's probably some digital marketing done. Like, how do I go about getting this thing off the ground and profitable the quickest way, that's humanly possible? Like, so how does the marketing work? Diving into I'm just looking at somebody looking at this franchise. They're going, okay, this model is really cool, because it's not a lot of headache. There's always a little headache in any time you own a business, but there's not that many moving parts once you get this thing up and running. And really from that time forward, I'm sure you don't necessarily have to do this full time. Once it's set up and going, you could have one part-time person bringing on vendors and doing, chamber of commerce and all that stuff. Can you walk me through kind of a launch of the territory?
Yeah. So once you kind of have your team of pros onboarded, now you got your team of pros, you picked your categories, and now you're ready to get customers. Now we have two different marketing strategies. We have our traditional online marketing, Facebook ads, Google ads, very effective, right? We use that. In addition, we also use our go-to-market strategy. Is we actually partner up with now local HOA communities. So these HOA, they already have access to all the homeowners, right? And we go to the HOA and we offer exclusive pricing for our services. And then in exchange, they will email blast the partnership to the entire community, announcing, hey, we just partnered up with Send Me a Pro. They offer yada, yada, yada services. They do this, and at a great rate. Here you go. Click here to get started. One email blast, you could get a handful of clients minimum, right? So the go-to-market strategy beyond traditional marketing, the Facebook, Google ads, which is still very effective. We love HOA partnerships. We like going to back to school night. So when all the parents go to school and they have all the local vendors set up there, right? So back to school night is a great way to participate, and we set up a booth in back to school night to now get in front of all the local parents. So the 5K races, we set up a booth there. The farmers market. So getting active and involved in your community really pays a very strong dividend for the business.
So the other question is an established franchise location, they only need 1 or 2 people. What does an average team look like once you're up and really moving?
Yeah. So typically what's required is about 4 hours a day from one person, right? And that could be, and we have some people that, depending on the type of ownership you're looking for, this could be 100% passive, where you hire someone for 4 hours a day to do the work, right, which is the onboarding, the local events, things like that. And the 4 hours is not like clock in, clock out work. It's more about just, 20 minutes here, an hour here, 30 minutes here, 10 minutes here type of thing. So it's kind of like, throughout the day. So that's kind of the time requirements. But again, we have some people that are just depending on what type of investor you are. If you want this to be fully passive, or maybe you do 2 hours a day and you hire out the other 2 hours a day as well. So you can massage that just depending on what's suited for the owner.
And right now, where do you guys sit as far as units?
So we have about 120 locations, and we're in Canada, we're in the UK, we're in Dubai, and we're really growing around the globe as well. We just got ranked again by Entrepreneur Magazine for 2024 as one of the fastest brands in the US, with over 120 units under 2-3 years.
As far as territories, how do you geomap the territory by population count? How does that work?
So territories are based on population, and one territory is a population of 50,000 people. And now in a place like New York City, you could get 50,000 people like in one block, right? But we wouldn't just franchise a small block in New York City. What we would do is we look what has a natural boundary around it that makes sense to be owned and operated by one person. And then we would calculate the population within that radius, and that would tell us the valuation for that specific location. So each location may have a different value depending on the density and the size of it as well. And our average purchase today is 3 territories, meaning the average investor is buying 3, which means some people are buying 1 or 2, and some people are buying 5 to 7, just depending on the appetite of that investor as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like if you're in like Las Vegas and there's not a location here, you could, that's probably like 8 or 9 locations that could be here essentially. So somebody's going to come in and they're going to either say, hey, I want all Southwest Las Vegas. And then anybody that goes, yeah, I got it. That's pretty. So 120 units. What's kind of the growth expectations for, the next for 2024 now that we're in here? I don't know if you could say, but where do you see the company going?
We are really excited just for the amount of growth that we've had already. And then we're just continuing to, grow at a faster pace each month. We're averaging between sometimes 3 to 8 new franchise owners per month. That's the cadence that kind of we're at. And then, also a lot of international expansion. We have a lot of conversations going on where people are, doing master deals for international markets. And we even launched, recently towards the end of 2023, we launched our area rep model, where now people can be an area rep in the US. And we find that as the great growth to get more, to tap into more sophisticated investors who are really looking beyond just being a franchisee, but really looking to be part of something bigger and a larger opportunity beyond just running and operating 1 or 2 territories. And that's where we see the area rep model, where the area rep can now essentially acquire a large area, and that could be a county, that could be half a state, that could be a whole state, right? Just depending how much territory you want to really acquire at a steep discount, where now you are basically doing what we're doing, is you could start subselling locations in different territories, and also participate in collecting franchise fees, and also participate in collecting royalties on those locations in your territory that you acquire. So that's where we see.
So as you guys continue to grow, like the kind of the concept behind it is, it's going to become a national brand. And if I lived in California and now I moved to Las Vegas, and now there's I'm going to start seeing it more and more, and it's going to be imprinted in my mind. And if you own the territory, and establish over time, that's going to keep on compounding. because like the name is just going to keep, it's like, okay, let's just go to Send Me a Bro. They've already vetted the vendors and it's super easy and it's an app and I can schedule everything right there. So that's where the real power too comes in, right? I mean, like just the, like when you get that huge expansion, now everybody just goes to Send Me a Bro, right? And then if you own a large territory, you're going to reap the benefit of that.
Yeah, and just without the area rep model, we've already awarded 120 territories, and now the area rep model is going to really be able to accelerate our projections on what we want to now award. You know, our goal is to be 300, 400, 500 by the end of 2024, and you know, and again, 2025 is now be in the 800s to 1,000, right? So, in that type of penetration, right, in a market allows us to do exactly what you're saying, where you can now get, you know, we're at that. You could go in any state, any city, and there's most likely going to be a Send Me a Pro nearby to service you. And that's the point where we want to get to, is really penetrate the market.
So eventually, like the app eventually will know where the job's ordered and that they're going to get paid if it's in their territory, essentially. Because right now, is it a downloadable app too, or you just go to the website? How does it work?
Yeah, so there's 3 options. You could download the app, right? And then you pick your location, and we only offer the business service where we have a local owner. So if we don't have an owner, then we don't service that market. So in the app, you download the app, you pick your location, and then now you go into that universe for that location where you see the services that franchise owner is offering and the pricing for that specific location as well. And that's where you would now download the app. The other way you could do it, you go to the website, or, you know, maybe you're a senior and you don't want to download the app. You could just call us. You call the local owner, and then we facilitate for you. So we thought about different user experiences based on different demographic of the actual owner, of the client as well.
What kind of training and ongoing support does Send Me a Pro offer to ensure franchisees can effectively manage their local marketing, business development, and customer service?
Yeah. So one thing that we take a lot of pride of is we actually offer unlimited support. So oftentimes, I'm sure you know, franchisees, they have X amount of hours, and then for training. For us, we have unlimited training. We assign you a business coach. So once you're awarded a franchise, then we actually appoint to you one of our business coaches. Our business coach will do weekly calls with you to make sure you're hitting your goals and you're really understanding everything you need to be doing and giving you some insights, support as well. And that training, that hands-onness never goes away. We're always hands-on with you. We give you this training, we give you the support, and we want to make sure. And that's the beauty in general in franchising, is we have invested interest. We want to make sure you're successful. We want to make sure you're hitting your goals, you're hitting your milestones, that you're focused, and any clarity that you need that week, we're going to be able to provide that.
As far as, you know, expectations, I know we can't talk financials because FTC and stuff. You know, if somebody's really interested, obviously we take them through the process of, you know, figuring out what kind of franchise model they like. Send Me a Pro. They can dive in and, you know, they need to figure out expectations of, you know, the possibility of revenue, and really too, the big thing too is you as the franchisee, what are you doing to grow your local market? I mean, it's not, or to some degree, the internet marketing and all that ads and stuff will work, but you also need to build the brand to really be like, out of the successful franchisees in your system. I mean, I'm probably pretty sure that's what they're doing. They're pounding the pavements as well as the internet stuff. What do you see in an ideal candidate that does well in your franchise system?
Yeah. So beyond the traditional online marketing, the HOAs is a gold mine. HOAs, we even partner up with realtors, right? They have access to people who just bought a home or selling their home, right? So we have a whole business development blueprint of how to really optimize relationships and to scale and to acquire customers at bulk, right? So when an HOA does an email blast about our services, you're not going to get one client. You're going to get a handful or two of clients just from one email blast, right?
You can have affiliate relationships with big organizations, I'm assuming, that have huge databases.
Yeah.
That would be a huge,
Of course. Yeah, we do a lot of that. And that's very effective. Are
they able to track is there a way they track it as the HOA or whatever they are, Chamber of Commerce?
So when they do an email blast, we go to the website and all the traffic that comes from our website, we can ultimately see which source it came from.
So that's really the good kind of the gold mine there, is if you think outside the box a little bit and go for the groups that have a huge, list of people that would need services, right? That would be the way to really turbocharge the growth.
And that's even senior care facilities. That's a gold mine, right? You go to a senior care facility, you go to an apartment complex, right? Or a condo association, right? And you go to management and you say, hey, I'm going to send me a pro. We could do X, Y, and Z for you. Here you go. They do an email blast. They put us on the bulletin boards. They do all that. That right there is going to get the phones to ring. That's going to get a lot of inquiries of people want to actively solve their problems for them. So, and we teach our franchisees exactly step-by-step, efficient, grassroots business development strategies to really scale the location.
Is the training mostly virtual then? Like there's a lot of recorded training, or do you have to fly to Miami? You guys are in Miami?
Our headquarters is located in Miami, but all of our training is virtual. Everything is with, we're doing Zoom calls. We're actively having regular conversations with you. We even created an online academy. So once you're awarded, we give you access to our online academy, which is equivalent to taking an online course. So you log in, and then you have all the different modules. And under each module, you have video and downloadables all right there. And that will also be a resource for you to always turn to go back and watch the video again, to download that PDF again. And that's a great resource for franchisees to go through. And before you even launch the business, you have to complete the academy. And then from once you graduate the academy, then you now officially launch the business.
Expectations to kind of profitability, 3 to 6 months type of thing? Or is there kind of you would try to tell people to shoot for, right?
Here's the thing, right? Absolutely. It could be very lean. So if you think about it, what people like about our franchise concept is, people are buying, if you look at just other franchise concepts out there, like, house cleaners, lawn care, pressure washing, these are all standalone franchise models, individual, right? So what investors that are buying our franchise, what their logic is, if you ask them, why are you buying our franchise? What's their rationale, right? Their rationale is, well, rather than buying, we've had people that were this close about to buy a house cleaning franchise, and then they saw us and they said, hey, I could still do house cleaning, but I could also now, with Send Me a Pro, I could now do tutoring, lawn care, I could do pressure washing, I could do music lessons.
They're not even doing the work.
Right?
They're doing the work up front and finding the vendor, managing the vendor, but the vendor's actually going out there and, if I own the franchise, I'm getting 30% of that house cleaning or whatever that number comes out to be. Ongoing. It's a beautiful, beautiful business model.
Yes. And that's where people are getting out of their seats, is you're saying, I could buy a portfolio of franchise concepts, right? The margins are the same. If you go look at historically, what is the margins for house cleaning franchises? It's going to be the same. We're doing the same numbers for house cleaning, right? So, but now you're giving investors a way to now grow vertically and add more services in a particular territory beyond just buying that one franchise that I've maybe considered before, right? But now I'm buying a portfolio of services. Not only you're giving investors an opportunity to now scale their revenue like never imagined before, but you're giving them a way to mitigate their risk dramatically. Because real investors when you invest, and why people like franchising in general, because number one, franchising is more a great way to just mitigate risk versus just a traditional startup. 97% of startups fail. So if you have $100,000, you're better off buying a franchise versus a startup, because your chances of succeeding is night and day, right? Now, to take that a step further is now beyond just, now why people like franchising is because you're mitigating risk, but now with us is you have a portfolio of services that you could add and remove services. So someone asked me, Barry, what if dog walking doesn't work out? Well, thank God you didn't buy a dog walking franchise, right? So you can add and remove services as you see fit to continue to now grow your revenue and your bottom line.
Does an established franchisee, how many vendors do they typically have once they're established? I know we said start with 5 roughly. What would you see in like an average middle of the road? Obviously there's low performing franchisees, there's middle of the road franchisees, and there's the ones that are crushing it. And obviously there's many factors that go into play there. But on the average ones, how many vendors would they have there?
So services, you mean, or vendors per category?
So I guess services, right? Because you could have one vendor that does pressure washing, exterior cleaning, window gutters, So I guess how many services typically on an established franchise concept would there be roughly?
So typically really the sky's the limit, but once you kind of start off your 5, then we typically recommend every quarter, you can add another 2 or 3 new services onto the platform. So you can now evolve. So over several years, you can be up to 15 to 20 services under one umbrella. And you can pick the services as well, which one you want to prioritize. Like we have someone now that we're speaking with. They live in West Virginia in a very small town, and she wants to prioritize horseback riding coaches because everyone there has a barn, everyone has horses, everyone wants someone to come to their home to teach their kid how to ride a horse on their lot. So for her, she said, she's going to start off with like some of the key services, but one of the services that she's now eager to launch is going to be horseback riding coaches who go to people's barns and homes to teach their kids how to ride a horse, right? So if the franchise owner has a specific itch or eager for a particular service, we can prioritize that for that specific market as well.
The vendors that we're putting on the platform, we're going to vet them. We're going to make sure they have their licenses if they need it in E&O or whatever, or liability insurance. And then for us, we'd probably have like a liability policy for our company just because we're overarching referring them out. Is that kind of how it would work? We vet them, and we also have a kind of a liability policy for our local franchise. Yeah.
We have our own liability policy, but we also require all of our providers to have their own independent insurance, right? So that's also a requirement. So all of our, tutors or trainers or music instructors or, other services, they have their own independent, they're independent contractors, which means they have their own independent insurance as well, which is standard.
Decision-making process. Obviously, people that you're watching this is just the start. There's going to be, you would do in-depth conversations with Barry and his team as you're doing your discovery. You would contact, we do validations where you'd call their franchises in the system. This is all part of the process. It's not, but I know like me, this resonates with me when I first learned about the concept. I know a lot of people out there, like, they might be realtors. They might they might be financial planners. They might own a service-based business right now. You can see the potential here for sure, right? Like you can see that if you set this up correctly and grow it and put in the work, and also you could also do this with a day job. So this is a really nice model that I think if you have the right mindset and you're a go-getter, you could really be successful in this brand. Anyways, the last question is, what advice would you give someone considering a Send Me a Pro franchise, especially in terms of evaluating the opportunity and making an informed decision?
It's the discovery process. I always tell people when they start any discovery process of learning of a franchise, don't be in decision mode. Oftentimes, we're looking for reasons to say no. It's human nature sometimes, right? And that's where I encourage people when they kind of look at a opportunity, look at it on collecting the right information. And our goal is to provide our candidates that are exploring a franchise opportunity with us is to really make sure they have all the right information to make the best informed decision, to be, making sure that they have all the right answers to really properly evaluate this. So, I always tell candidates, make sure you come prepared. We don't sell franchises. We don't put the fancy dance on. We are, just like they're doing due diligence on us, we're doing due diligence on them, making sure it's a good fit, right? And that's important to us as well, to make sure it's a good fit. People are taking the discovery process. We agree to what the discovery process will entail, which gives them plenty of opportunity during that time to go through and ask all the questions and talk to people and our franchisees and understand the numbers, understand what a typical day looks like as a franchise, really making sure they have a good sense of what they're getting themselves into. So, but my ultimately, when people ask me, what's the key to be successful? Really, it's trusting the process. So when and that's with any franchise, when you buy any franchise business, what makes the top 20% versus the bottom 20%? What's the difference? The difference is usually the top 20% really focuses and trusts the process that the franchisor has planned out for them versus dozing off and coming up and doing random things, right? And that's why people like franchising, is because there's a system in place. So while we always like to hear feedback and ideas from franchisees, but also it's important to stay focused on understanding what's the key steps to scale. Like I always talk about, my kid, he's 12 years old. I'm teaching him how to play chess. And the first time I taught him how to play chess, he just wants to take out everybody on the board, which I get, right? But the real point is when you play is you want to get checkmate with as few moves as possible, right? And it's the same thing with any business. You want to scale your business with the least amount of effort on how to do that. And we know how to do that. And it requires you to be, to trust the process, to have synergy on a good chemistry on how we work together. And that's how people scale their business.
This has been a great episode. I know you guys are all interested. We'll put a link below. You can book a call with me and we'll go through the diligence process together. Thank you so much. Like, this is obviously, I'm interested here in Vegas. It's an open territory right now, and everybody needs a pro in Vegas. So, because it's very transient, right? You move there, you're like, I don't know who to call for lawn care. Send me a pro. Send me a pro Vegas.
Yeah. And people just don't want to haggle. People just don't have the time to haggle and price shop and just go through all the searching pain points and doing all that. And that's where it just goes back to owning, that great customer service side of it, owning that relationship. So once you hire me to do one service and you like and trust me, then now you're going to use me for all your other services. And that's what's exciting about
what you said. That I found a plumber here. I had my water heater went out, and I just what am I gonna do? I just called the number on the water heater because he was smart enough to put a sticker there, and he's a really cool guy. And but we always talk about business. He's investing, and he does very well for himself. But he told me, he said he crushed. He said he had a pull route business, and he said the beauty of a pull route business was that everybody always needed other things done. So what you're saying is 100% correct. You're in with one service, they need other things done. And now they're like, oh, send me a pro does this, this, and this. And that's just scaling your pocketbook, basically. It's a good business model, really good. I'm excited.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next episode. I would like to introduce you to Own a Business Today, a new digital and print magazine. We take pride in being the only magazine that assists small business owners to bring relevant information on business ownership and financing. We're going to cover topics such as business acquisition and expansion, franchising, business finance, technology for entrepreneurs, economic outlook and forecasting, and much more. To subscribe for free, please visit ownabusinesstoday.com.